They say the truth will set us free, but not until we identify the lies that hold us hostage. I'm Amy, your host for The Story in My Head, a raw, meandering, unscripted sharing of my thoughts or those of my guests, where we identify the stories, the messages that we tell ourselves that create these lies that we believe, that trap us in darkness and depression, anxiety, fear, negative thinking, self-sabotage, addiction, etc. This is my experiment of trying to rewrite the stories in my head, and I ask you to join me. I am overwhelmed right now. I believe that I am either in active addiction or active recovery every day. My pendulum swings, from side to side and sometimes round and round. And today it's just all over the place. I'm feeling clingy and cravey, and I want chocolate and to go shopping and to smoke a cigarette and to take a nap and all these things at the same time. And it's an uncomfortable feeling. I don't like it. And I have been paying attention. And so I know that when I am feeling like this, overwhelmed, that doing those things that I want to do, that the story in my head is telling me I need to do to get out of this uncomfortable, awkward position. I have paid attention, and I know that when I get to this angst space and do any of those things, shop, smoke, eat, whatever, I don't really feel better, because now I've traded this angst before the behavior with guilt after the behavior. So it's a different feeling. I go from anxious to guilty, but they're both shitty. And so if I recognize that everything is work and I want to pick my work, I'd rather today pick on the front end and deal with this angst than on the back end and deal with the guilt. So this is my today. This is my thinking. So today I am feeling, right now I am super anxious. And if I look at the right now, if I'd be present right now, I am not in danger right now. So my angst is not from my environment. It's from my head right now. And I want to address it. I was getting ready to say embrace it, but to say that out loud, just But yeah, that's in effect the goal. That's my mountain. The top of my mountain is to embrace this anxiety that I'm feeling right now and recognize I am not in danger in this moment. And so what is my mind full of? Let's be mindful. What is my mind full of right now? And right now it's full of, I want chocolate. I want to go shopping. I want to take a nap. I want to smoke a cigarette. I want to feel different than I feel right now. That's what it's full of. This is where I'm at. And I immediately go to this list of addiction to sugar and caffeine and nicotine and go on and on, shopping and whatever else. And I don't even like to use the word addict. I want to change that for today, for a moment, to their coping skills. All of these things that I historically have done that are not in my best interest have been coping skills that are no longer serving me. They don't work. They don't work. They don't work. They make it worse. Which I'm working to learn new skills. I'm open to learning new skills. So I would like to learn new coping skills that work, first and foremost, because I don't like feeling anxious and overwhelmed and whatever. So I want new coping skills. And I know that when I am stressed, I don't love that word, but it's a word that we use because we all know what the hell we're talking about, but we overuse it and we acknowledge it. You know, you're at the grocery store. You see somebody you haven't seen in a while. They're like, "Hey, how you doing?" You're like, "Oh, I'm good. Stressed. Kids are good. Blah blah blah." Like and then the other person's like, "Oh, great, great. Have a good day." Like we just throw it out there, like it means nothing, but it means a lot. It's a big thing to be stressed, to be under pressure. Side note: everything that I love is created from pressure. I love mountains and volcanoes and the changing of the earth ball and diamonds, and all of these things required just massive amounts of pressure to create. So I can actually think about pressure as different now. Anywho, see, all over. Pendulum is just swinging everywhere. So if I'm wanting new coping skills right this minute, if I think about the coping skills that I have and I think about stress and how I react to stress, I can react physically to stress, with headaches and muscle aches and wearing my shoulders up like they're earmuffs and, muscle tension and back pain and high blood pressure, and the list goes on and on and on. And I can react to stress emotionally. I can just start sobbing uncontrollably after something that seems really not to elicit that response. I was in Dunkin' Donuts one time. Oh my God. I wanted a caramel latte so bad. And I walked in, I was in a space. Oh Lord, I was not in a good place that day. And I asked this young girl to make me a caramel latte, and she said the latte machine was down, and I busted out into scream crying like nobody's business. That poor child had no idea what to do with me. That is a huge emotional reaction to stress is what that is, and embarrassing as hell. Okay. Yeah, so I get irritated easily. I have a hard time, regulating, managing, whatever word you want to use, like feeling not controlled by my emotions. When I'm stressed, I cognitively react to stress. My attention span goes down. My attention span is that of a squirrel. When I'm stressed, it's that of a squirrel on methamphetamines. So I'm aware of my stress, when I get up to walk in the kitchen, and by the time I get in there, which is a whopping 8 feet, I can't remember what the hell I'm in there for. I'm capable on a good day of remembering from the living room to the kitchen what the hell I got up for. But when I'm stressed, I cognitively short circuit. Following a train of thought becomes difficult. My attention span goes down. My need for stimulation goes up. That's weird. I've just thought about that for the first time as I'm speaking aloud. And then I have these phenomenal behavioral reactions to stress where I eat, sleep, shop, smoke, whatever. Oh my God. I was at the doctor's office and, I was there for my annual checkup. My doctor walks in to report my lab work findings. And he's like, Amy, everything looks really good. Your triglycerides are extremely high. And my ego kicked in. I didn't know what triglycerides were, but the way he said it after he said my lab work looked good, like I felt proud of myself. I was like, yeah. And I was preparing myself for a prize or something, I guess. And who doesn't love prizes? And he followed it up with, that's really, really alarming. I said, oh, well, what are you talking about? And apparently my sugar levels were through the roof. Long story endless. That's the deal. And I was like, okay, so I suspect I know the culprit. Raising 2 teenage boys At the end of my day, after work and kids and projects, and oh, by the way, I need tape by tomorrow, and, dinner and letting the dog out and all of those things, I'd crawl in bed and turn on a nature TV show. I just have this huge love affair with David Attenborough. I go to sleep to him every night, along with a king-size 4-pack of Reese's cups and some milk. And this space, this time of my day, I just coveted this time of day. And I'm telling my doctor this, and I'm explaining to him that this was just the epitome of serenity for me. This nature show, David Attenborough's voice in my head, Reese's cups, a 4-pack of creamy chocolate peanut butter, and a big ass glass of milk. What? Yes. Not that I lived for the moment, but kinda. Okay, kinda. I kinda did. And he's like, yeah, for sure, that's the problem. So anytime you are craving Reese's cups, this is what this dumbass says to me. And I'm in this total space of glory, thinking about my time of night with my Reese's cups. And this dumbass says to me, anytime you're craving candy like Reese's cups, just grab some carrots instead. Are you kidding me right now? Carrot, dude, have you had a Reese's cup? You can't compare a Reese's cup to a carrot. No. That change in a coping skill was not going to happen overnight. And there was going to be a million steps between a Reese's cup and a carrot. Okay? So if I'm angsty, like I was 10 minutes ago, and I want to see my angst as stress and my reaction to angst as a coping skill, and I want to create a healthier coping skill than a 4-pack of Reese's cups and a large glass of milk daily. I need to first figure out what the coping skill is serving. What is it doing? I was told all behavior is meaningful. All of our coping skills are meaningful. They serve a purpose. Now, they might be maladaptive, and our coping skills might hurt somebody else. Our coping skills can hurt ourselves. Our coping skills can hurt the earth. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that our coping skills can be destructive. But they are, in fact, our coping skills because they do, in fact, serve a fucking purpose. Or at least they used to. So I'm sitting here thinking, what is the purpose? Because I'd like to know the purpose prior to trying to find a replacement. Because if I don't know my purpose, my replacement might be pointless, and then I'm setting myself up for failure. And failure is practice for success, but let me also set myself up for success. And think about what purpose my coping skills of past, present, today, this morning, serve. Eating serves a purpose of fulfillment, of satiation, of satisfaction. And I think about cravings right now, like to crave something, to want something, to crave it. Like to really want a cigarette, because that's where I woke up wanting a cigarette this morning. And I don't want to be a smoker. But I don't want to be miserable either. Let me share that again. I crave a cigarette. I don't want to be a smoker. And I don't want to feel cravey. I don't want to want it. I don't want to want it. I don't want to want Reese's cups by the 4-pack. I don't want to want shopping when I don't have the money to pay for whatever, to afford it. I don't want to want alcohol to a point of excess and drunkenness and poor decision making. There's so many things I don't want, but I want them all. I want them all at the same time. Sometimes I want it all. Because really, I want to feel satisfied, peaceful, serene, happy. I don't know. All of these things. Oh my God, I had a spouse tell me one time that if your goal is to be happy, it's a ridiculous goal because it's unattainable. And that pissed me off because I was like, bullshit, because I've been happy. That's not unattainable. Well, sitting here this morning, I'm realizing maybe that as my goal might not be my goal today. Maybe my goal is not necessarily happy, like it's not the top of the mountain. Maybe the goal is maybe a third of the way up of the mountain and just not feel so cravey, not feel so clingy, not feel so anxious, not feel so unsatisfied, unpeaceful, unhappy, whatever, you know? I mean, I basically thought my doctor was a dumbass to go from Reese's cup to carrot. Okay, so let's apply that to this moment to go from, anxious and depressed and in active addiction for quite some time to completely healthy, happy, well-adjusted, adapted, whatever in a quickness. That seems a bit silly. It seems a bit unrealistic. And to set myself up for success, I'd like to have some realistic expectation, or maybe just I'd like to just be real. Let's just be real for today. Today, I'm not in danger. Today, I have so much I can be grateful for. So right now, feeling angsty, I'm going to choose that. I am going to come up with something to be grateful for. I am grateful I'm not dead. Let's start there. I am grateful I'm not in danger. I am grateful that I believe whatever I water grows. So if I water active addiction, I'm going to stay in active addiction. If I water active recovery, I'm going to stay in active recovery. If I water anxiety, I'm going to stay anxious. And if I water serenity, I'm going to become serene. So right now, I am grateful that I have access to water and I can water myself so that I can grow. And I'm going to take some deep breaths. I have a dear friend, one of the wisest humans I know, literally uses a machine to help him take deep breaths. And I am sitting here this morning capable of taking deep breaths. And for that, I am grateful. And taking deep breaths is free and simple, and something that I need to remind myself that I can do. And I am grateful to be able to do it. So I'm going to take some deep breaths and I'm going to drink some water. And I am recognizing that I just practiced a new coping skill. That makes me willy. Okay, so when I shake and get a little goosebumpy, I call it a willy. And sometimes it happens for a long time. I call that a super willy. And I did not, raising sons, when they got injured, I did not tell them to shake it off when they were injured because I never wanted to make light or minimize. I tried not to minimize them being hurt or scared or sick. But I did tell them when we would switch gears from one event to another, especially from one that was unpleasant toward one that was hopefully going to be more pleasant, I would say, shake it off. Like a deer. You see a deer, shake it off. I used to wash my hands in cold water between serving individuals, between people, being with people. And that was kind of a way to reset. My brain would then send blood to my hands and out of my brain so I could kind of reset, cognitively, emotionally, just completely between each client, and like my way of forcing a willy. I like to watch nature, and I like to remind myself how, simple and complex and fascinating nature is, and how much we can learn. I can learn from watching nature. And when you watch a deer willy shake, or your dog pet your dog. I don't know if cats do it. I've never had a cat, but you mess with your dog, you play with your dog. When your dog's done, it, willies, shakes it off, ready for the next thing. Let's shake it off. Wash your hands in some cold water, take a couple deep breaths, and be grateful for anything. Pick anything, especially if it's something you don't like. I am grateful for my past coping skills because they did, in fact, serve me. They are no longer serving me. In fact, they are harming me. A lot of them are harming me, and so that means I don't need them anymore. I am open to learning new coping skills. That's my experiment for today. I ask you to join me. I truly appreciate you listening and being a part of my experiment. The healing process for me is messy, and I like to run experiments and try out new things before I commit to practicing new skills. And I want you to be a part of this with me. And I ask you to share my podcast with anybody else that you know like me, that's just open to being different, because we're just tired of being where we are. Thanks.